Hey, what is the hurry? So, is this how you honor us? The ancient witnesses of the glorious times of Magna Graecia. Do you know who I am? I am Nike the Kali Black-haired, the glorious, the goddess of victory, the daughter of Pallas and Styx. I weigh the value of gods and men, offering the victor's crown to the worthy athletes and warriors. Many were the champions I gave triumph to, and most of them came from Croton. Founded by the Achaeans, it was remarkable for its richness of soil and the peculiar celebrity of its air. It abounded in wine, and the red and inebriating nectar was obtained by grape trading, and olive, the tree sacred to Athena, from which masterly hands were able to extract golden oil. Croton's softness of climate was favorable to the body's health and strength. Similarly, the philosopher Pythagoras' vote was nourishment for the mind. At that time, when all the Greeks took part in the great games of Olympia, Delphi, Nemea, and Corinth Isthmus, the Crotonians won like no other. In just 100 years, they obtained the crown 50 times. Once, it even happened that the first 7 athletes at the Olympic final foot race were all from Croton. Therefore, since then it is said that the last of the Crotonians is the first of the Greeks. Among the greatest, I remember the pentathlete Phaelos, the hero of Salamis, who became a legend for having jumped beyond the Dagaperia, exceeding the 50-foot limit no other Greek was ever able to equal. But even Phaelos' greatness is obscured by the memory of the greatest of all, the powerful Milo, the son of Diotima and follower of Pythagoras. His extraordinary strength, his superhuman proportions, and his many victories have rendered his memory immortal, as if he were a god. In 28 years, he won 33 games, 7 Olympics, one of which when he was still a boy, 7 Pythian games, 9 Nemean games, and 10 Isthmian games. He was a 5-time Periodonikis, that is winner in all 4 cities in the same cycle. Milo's favorite discipline was wrestling. In those times, opponents weren't matched based on weight classes, but on 2 age classes, boys and adults. In order to win a wrestling match, a fighter had to throw his opponent to the ground 3 times or push him out of the fighting space. Holds had to be above the waist. Trips were accepted, but punches, biting, engaging, open hands blows, and headbutting were prohibited. After winning 6 Olympic crowns in wrestling, Milo got through to the finals in Olympia for the 7th time. But there was no match because Timocetio, a younger Crotonian, didn't dare to fight against the champion. Milo was thus proclaimed Akonitos, that is, winner without fighting. And as a prize, he was again crowned with a wreath of olive leaves. Even when he didn't fight, Milo always found a way to show his superhuman strength. He often amused himself holding a pomegranate in his hand without damaging it, and nobody could, in spite of all the efforts, take it away from him. If he stood on an oiled and slippery discus, he ridiculed those who tried with all their strength to push him from it. Once, while he was banqueting with some Pythagoreans, Milo, by a vigorous effort, supported the tottering column and carried the weight of a collapsing roof, thus saving everybody's life and escaping death himself. In Olympia, he cut a 4-year-old bull and after having carried it on his shoulders all over the stadium, he ate it all in just one day. His strength was equal to his voracity. He was able to eat 20 pounds of meat and 20 pounds of bread, and to drink over 18 pints of wine in one swallow. The Crotonians honored Milo, commissioning the artist Sybaris, a bronze statue of their champion, standing on a shield with a pomegranate in his left hand. To prove worthy of it, Milo carried the statue bodily to the Olympias Altis, where it was placed. He was almost 45 years old when, in 510 before Christ, being Eras priest in his native town, Milo led the soldier in a battle against the neighboring community of Sybaris. The Sybarites were 300,000, while the Crotonians were 100,000. But Milo, who represented himself as Heracles, wearing a lion's skin and brandishing a club, and wore his 6 Olympic crowns, led his countrymen to victory and put the enemies to flight. All things must end, and he that relies too much on his own means, however great they may be, commits the sin of arrogance against the gods. So, one day Milo was walking in a forest when he came upon a tree trunk split with wedges. In what was probably intended as a display of strength, Milo inserted the hands into the cleft to rend the tree. The wedges fell from the cleft, and his hands were trapped into the trunk of the tree. Unable to escape, the wrestler fell prey to wild animals. The memory of the champion's legendary deeds has remained vivid over time. Milo has become the subject of many artists' works in every epoch. The sculptures of Pierre Puget and Etienne Maurice Falconet, the parade's shield by Antonio del Pollaiolo, the beautiful image on a manuscript of the 15th century now in Paris' Bibliothèque Nationale de France, the gravy boat of Christoph Janitzer in Nuremberg, Niccolo Boldrini's xylograph, the paintings of Charles Meunier, Joseph Benoît Sevy, and Robert Leopold Laprince, the famous Paul Cézanne study, and the statue in the Foro Italico in Rome.